Is this a really good deal? Hi, it's Kevin Wright here, back again with another finance tip on property. And this week we'll be talking about buying a property at auction that you believe to be undervalued. Sound interesting? Stick around. So this week's video stems from a question that someone asked me, and here's what they said. They'd found a property that was for sale at auction that they thought could be 20 to 30% below market value. It was in pretty good condition and needed next to no work doing to it. So they wanted to know what's the quickest way to finance the purchase at auction, and if they were going to flip it or refinance it, how long should they wait to do that? So that was the question. Now let's delve into the answer. Now there's a bunch of misconceptions going on here about how auctions and how finance work. So let's knock them off one by one. Number one.
Hey, have you subscribed yet? Click that subscribe button down there and that dingy belly thing so you don't miss any of my videos when they're released, which is every week. Great, thanks. I almost forgot, Instagram. Click that button too. Look, it's down there. Thanks.
Buying 20 to 30% below market value. Number two, refinancing at market value. Number three, the property is in good order and doesn't need refurbing. And number four, the hidden cost of buying properties at auction. Let's deal with that 1 point at a time. So this perception of 20 to 30% under market value or below market value for a property at auction is probably going to be based on the guide price. Now, the guide price is the price that appears in the auction catalogue. Now, that's not the price that you can buy it at. That's a lower price, essentially used as a marketing tool to generate increased interest in bidding on the lot at auction day. And there's another price, and this is a more important price, and that's the reserve price. Now, the reserve price is confidential between the auction seller and the auctioneer. Now, we can guess what it is, but only those two individuals know exactly what it is. Benchmark is the reserve price is 10% higher than the guide price. So if a deal looks 20 to 30% below market value based on the guide price, just the fact that it can't be sold below the reserve price means that that 20 to 30% is already 10 to 20%. Now, I said it can't be sold below the reserve price. What does that mean? Well, the reserve price is the price below which the auctioneer doesn't have the seller's permission to sell the property in the auction room on auction day. And even if the highest bid is, let's say, £50 short of the reserve price, it can't be sold in the bidding. It has to go as an unsold lot, and then people put in bids either later that day or after the auction's finished. So factoring in the reserve price, this 20 to 30% is probably 10 to 20%. Could you still get the chance to buy it at 10 to 20%? Almost certainly not. And here's why. If there's more than a few people interested in buying this property, and if it looks cheap, there almost certainly will be, then there's going to be bidders outbidding each other and bidding the price up. The majority of auction properties sell way over the guide and even the reserve price. So in the frenzy of an auction bidding process, that 10 to 20%, which was originally 20 to 30%, could well evaporate. In fact, bidding may go higher than that still, and you could pay above market value for an auction property. So it's nowhere near the bargain that it looks. Let's look at the second aspect, refinancing at market value. This is a common thing people want to do. They want to buy it at one price, refurb at a higher price, and pull all the money out. I mean, I've been teaching people to do that using my recycle your cash concept for the best part of a decade. But it's not always that simple. Now, you may have seen me explain this on other videos, but I'm going to explain it again on this one, just in case you didn't see those other videos. This property doesn't really need much of a refurb. It's in good order already, and you can't add value, significant value, to a property that's already in good condition. Now, here's the key point. When a mortgage lender's valuer goes around to value a property that you've bought in the months previous, their focus is going to be on valuing it at the purchase price you paid, unless you can show them tangible improvements made to the property that would have an impact on uplifting the value. Just buying it cheap is not sufficient reason for a mortgage lender's valuer to uplift the value significantly. Now, there's always going to be a person that says, well, I did exactly that and I got an uplifted value. Now, there's always going to be a person that said, well, I did exactly that. I did nothing to the property and I managed to refinance at an uplifted value. Well, maybe they did, but there's an element of getting lucky on a valuation rather than getting a predictable outcome that you can bank on property after property after property. So the watchword here is to get a reliable way of uplifting the value in the weeks or months after you've completed the purchase of a property. You need to provide evidence of tangible improvements made. If you can't do that because you haven't done anything, you didn't need it, then it's going to get valued at or close to the purchase price you paid, which of course defeats your object of refinancing at a higher value. So we've dealt with points 1, 2, and 3. Now let's look at the last point, and this is the true cost of buying at auction, because in most cases the winning bid is not the price you end up paying, and the reason for that is costs that the seller puts into the legal pack usually in the special conditions, that if you don't read them and know they're there, you're going to get a very unpleasant surprise if you've got the winning bid on a property. So there are all sorts of costs that the seller can put in there. It's quite legitimate because it's the seller's prerogative to put those costs in there. It's the buyer's responsibility to read through and find and identify them. And the seller can't be responsible for the buyer abrogating that responsibility. Why is this important? Because these costs can amount to thousands of pounds, literally thousands of pounds. So if you've paid £180,000 for a property on the winning bid and you think that's what you're paying, that £180,000 can easily turn into £190,000, and there's £10,000 of your profit straight out the window. So not really understanding the auction process when bidding at auction can end up usually one of two ways. One, if you're sensible and stop bidding at the maximum price that you've identified to make a profit on the property, the bidding's probably going to go way past that and you lose the property. Secondly, even if you've got a maximum bid price, you get caught up in the emotion and you end up bidding over that and you pay more for the property than you should have done, and that's going to have a detrimental effect on your profit. It could even eliminate it. And in this particular scenario, there could be a way to make some money, because the majority of auction buyers go to auction to buy doer-uppers, fixer-uppers, properties that are in a dilapidated state of varying conditions that they can see a clear opportunity to do up. Now, a nice looking property that needs next to no work doing on it could actually end up not selling at auction, and that gives them the chance to go to the auctioneer after the auction and negotiate a price with the seller. Hopefully the additional costs in the legal pack are not too severe and you'd factored them in so you didn't overbid, and you can flip this straight on through an estate agent. Now, programs like Homes Under the Hammer make auction buying look a lot easier than it actually is in practice. Still possible to buy decent value properties at auction, but a lot of overpriced properties get sold at auction. Now that's it for this week. I'll be back next weekend with another property finance video. See you then.
If you enjoyed watching this video, did you know every Monday morning at 8:30 I do a live Facebook Q&A. So if you want to start the week with checking out some answers to your property finance questions, click the link here.